Hi, this is Chico Resch. You are listening to the Let's Go Devils podcast on the Primetime Radio Network.
Happy Devils Tuesday to everybody watching on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, listening to the podcast, wherever it is that you can find podcasts or watch live programming. My name is Vinnie Parise, and I am very excited to be with you all again for another season of New Jersey Devils hockey. It is the 5th year anniversary of the Let's Go Devils podcast. I am very excited to be a part of it for the small time that I have, and here I am going forward. We are back for another year of Game Day Live, as Sam Wu pointed out to everybody one night ago as the New Jersey Devils took on the Montreal Canadiens. Tonight's tilt is a huge matchup between the New Jersey Devils and the New York Islanders. Let's go over last night's game a little bit. They had a great job doing that on the Devils After Dark show, but I have some thoughts to share on what's going on with this team and what's been going on all summer. It's been a while. So the Devils played their game yesterday, and it was just wonderful, first off, to have hockey back, right? Like, that's what we all live for. We love the Devils. The boys were on the ice. It was a road game in Montreal where the Devils took on those Canadiens who had a lot of their young guys in their group as well. Not as many of the veterans as you would expect from a team playing their first preseason home game, but Montreal is clearly in transition. There's no more Shea Weber. There's no more Carey Price. It's a new movement there, and the same thing's going on with New Jersey. We did see guys like Nico Hischier and Damon Severson go up there and play for the Devils up there in Canada, along with Jesper Bratt, Tomas Tatar. It was a great performance. They didn't finish on a lot of their opportunities, but they outshot the Habs by a fair margin. And they got good goaltending from Mackenzie Blackwood and Nico Dawes. The big thing is that they're getting it from Mackenzie Blackwood. Last year, Nico Dawes did a good job. He came into the year as like the fourth goalie, and he ended up playing a majority of the second half. And he did very well for the tough situation that he was put in. Now, Nico Dawes is going to be able to work on his development a little more, and hopefully Mackenzie Blackwood is fully healthy. He looked like it yesterday, and the Devils were able to squeak out a 2-1 victory thanks to a very nice play by Jesper Bratt, where he was able to feed Tomas Tatar to get the game tied after Cole Caulfield got the score going for the Montreal Canadiens. So now it's 1-1, and all of a sudden the Devils get on a nice little rush. And Graham Clark makes a really nice play, and the goaltender, Montreal, makes a save, and all of a sudden the puck is past the goalie, and it's like, wow, that's a lucky bounce. But guess what? In order to create goals in the NHL, sometimes you need a little bit of luck, and we got that from Clark, and he was able to score his first of the preseason. A couple minutes later, the Habs scored again. Lindy Ruff decided to challenge it for offsides, and it was a successful challenge. And the Devils ended up winning the game thanks to that successful challenge and the game-winning goal by Graham Clark, and now they're off, ready to do it all over again in New Jersey. Now, the group playing today is going to be entirely different than the one from yesterday. All the guys who played yesterday, especially Nico Hischier, we hope he's okay. It sounds like it was just precautionary. He'll have some extra tests done just to make sure that that's the case. But the good news on Hischier is they are expecting him back by the end of the preseason. In this game at home against the Islanders, you're going to see some of the players that you love that you didn't see play yesterday. Of course, I'm talking about the man, the myth, the legend. Jack Hughes will make his preseason debut tonight at the Rock, and he will be playing with what is starting to be known as the H2O line, the Hughes, Holtz, Palat line. The O obviously comes for Andre. His name is Andre Palat, one of the big Devils acquisitions from the offseason. I'm banking on this line to have a really good year, and I'll tell you why. I'm not sure Holtz, it's not a lock he makes the team. I think he's going to. But Jack Hughes, with a sniper like that, he finds these guys in areas that makes it easier for them to score. We've seen him make players much lesser than Holtz look like common scorers in the NHL so far in his young career. And then you add a veteran like Palat who can win puck battles, go to the front of the net, be a big body, hard to move, plenty of championship-level experience playing his entire career with the Tampa Bay Lightning. I love the H2O line. We're going to see Dougie Hamilton play, and we're also going to get to see our first look at Vitek Vanacek in between the pipes for the New Jersey Devils since coming over from the Washington Capitals. And then when you look at the rest of the lineup, Schmid is backing up, I assume. He will play some of the game following Vanacek when he inevitably gets pulled around during the game. You'll see Jonas Siegenthaler Brennan Smith will play with John Marino, who was traded for Ty Smith, of course, with the Pittsburgh Penguins. We will get our first look at Hickey in a Devils uniform. And, of course, the second overall pick in the 2022 NHL Draft, Simon Nemec, will play on the third pair with Hickey, and we will get to see him play against a real NHL team with real NHL talent around him. He was great in the Prospects tournament, but nothing is like the actual NHL, even preseason. And so we're going to get to see him there. Wood, Haula, Mercer will be the second line. I'm expecting Nico Hischier to be the second line center for most of the year, but we'll see what Haula is able to do with a guy like Mercer and Wood. As we talked about on the Let's Go Devils State of the Fan address a couple of weeks ago, Nick Villano and I talked about the fact that Erik Haula played a majority of last season with David Pastrnak and Taylor Hall, two superstar wingers in this league. One won a Hart Trophy, one might win one later on Pasta. And, so Haula has experience playing with good players. We'll see what he's able to do with Mercer and Wood tonight. Sharon Govich is on the third line. He'll have Zetterlund on the other side with Pino in the middle. And then Geertsen, McLeod, Bastion will be the fourth line for the Devils in this one. This is a much better group than the one that went out there and beat Montreal yesterday. I'm expecting a very competitive game for the New Jersey Devils, of course. It'll be nice to have some of those guys who were playing yesterday join these guys as the preseason kind of comes to a close and we get ready for the regular season and see what the lineup is going to really look like. But I'm really excited to see Vitek Vanacek play for the New Jersey Devils for the first time in goal. He will face off against Ilya Sorokin of the New York Islanders, who, in my opinion, is one of the very best goaltenders in the National Hockey League. A friendly note is that Sorokin's backup this evening will be former New Jersey Devils goaltender Corey Schneider. I'm not sure if the Devils are going to, get to face off against Schneider at all in this game. Sorokin is scheduled to start. They have not been as loud about the fact that they're going to split time as the Devils have with their goalies. Like, I'm fully expecting to see Akira Schmid play for the Devils tonight. And yesterday, Blackwood had 22 minutes or 31 minutes, and I believe Nico Dawes had 29 minutes to get the full 60. So we'll see what happens. Another thing I'm very excited about with this game is looking at the power play units. Now, there are guys who played in yesterday's game that are going to impact this and take some of these names away. But going into this game for the New Jersey Devils, the power play one unit, Mercer, Hughes, Holtz, Palat, and Hamilton. Okay, I don't see how that's not a unit. If you separate Hischier and Hughes, you could have two power play units. I like this as a number one unit for the New Jersey Devils, and I would be stunned if they don't at least look very good zipping that thing around tonight. Then the second unit is one that's obviously going to be impacted with other guys coming back. Obviously, Jesper Bratt is going to be a huge part of the power play as well, as he was New Jersey's leading scorer last season. He will be in the mix to do that again this year. Power play 2, Fabian Zetterlund, Erik Haula, Miles Wood, Yegor Sharangovich, and Simon Nemec. They're going to give Nemec a shot as the lone defenseman on power play number 2, along with 4 forwards. We've seen in recent years how special teams impacts the National Hockey League. We've seen it as recently as these playoffs where the Colorado Avalanche won the Stanley Cup, Tampa Bay Lightning getting to their 3rd straight cup and becoming Eastern Conference champions for 3 straight years. It is going to be pivotal, and one player I'm looking at to impact the power play the most. We all know what the Devils are going to do with Severson and Hamilton and hopefully Nemec at some point. I'm not sure if it's this year, with the quarterbacking the power play on the back end. I really like what Andre Palat has shown throughout training camp so far as the net front presence on the first wave of the power play unit. We'll see if Holtz and Mercer stay in favor of Hischier and Bratt once the groups join together, but I honestly believe Palat will be on the top pair or on the top unit with the big boys that the New Jersey Devils have, and I am very excited to have Palat on this team. I think the leadership that he can bring to this group is something that it's big in the NHL. I think it's bigger in the NHL than probably any other sport. Like, you never really hear somebody say, oh, this player has Super Bowl experience when coming over to a new team. In football, you just kind of want the guys. You want a star quarterback, you want the fastest receivers, you want the fastest running backs, and you'll be able to, go out and do what you do best in terms of winning. In hockey, bringing experience to a team like the Devils, who are very young, right? Who's leading the Devils? Their captain is Nico Hischier, who was the number 1 overall pick in the 2017 NHL draft. He's still very, very young. Nobody in the right mind is saying Hischier's fully developed yet. Jesper Bratt, he was a rookie the same year as Hischier. He was a draft prior. Also still a very young player. I still think there's room for him to grow. Of course, the best player on the team, the most talented player maybe in the history of the team, is Jack Hughes. 2 years younger than Hischier. 3 years younger than Bratt. This is a player who's very young. He hasn't played in the playoffs the way that some of these other guys have. You bring in a guy like Palat, and you give yourself a chance to grow the team, help them learn what it takes to grind through an 82-game season. A guy like Mercer, who was really good at the beginning of last season and then kind of started to tail off a little bit in terms of his offensive production as it goes along. It's hard. And a guy like Andre Palat, he's going to come. He's going to be the net front presence on the power play. He's going to work hard 5-on-5. And he's going to make life easier on his centers. I'm very excited about it. Another player that I'm very excited to watch in this preseason game against the New York Islanders is one that I already mentioned. Of course, I'm talking about Dawson Mercer. Dawson Mercer, as I once said already on this show, was a rookie last season. And when he started, he was unbelievable. It's like, wow, did the Devils actually get the best player of their 3 draft picks in that draft where they had 3 of them? You might remember the 2020 NHL draft when they selected Alexander Holtz, Dawson Mercer, and Shakir Mahamadulin. Mercer might be the best of them all. And like people are talking about him like competing with Lafreniere in terms of overall production, and he's got an extra year, in juniors under his belt. Well, then the rookie wall started to hit a little bit. He wasn't the same player in January that he was in November. That's going to happen. Now, how do you respond in year number 2? Do you take the Ty Smith route where you kind of struggle hard in your sophomore season and make people wonder about your future? Or do you take a Jack Hughes type of approach? Not saying he's as good as Jack Hughes. All I'm saying is that Jack Hughes in year 2 looked like a significantly better player than Jack Hughes in year 1. Then by year 3, we're talking about him making all-star teams and winning skills competitions and potentially being a top 10 forward in the NHL. Those are things that we can expect from Mercer in terms of development in year number 2. I never think he's going to be a top 10 player in the league or anything like that, but I do believe year 2 should show some vast improvement for him, and that's where things start to come along here in the first preseason game of his season. I'm also very excited. I'm looking at the lineup, trying to think of, who's going to impact the game, right? On the Let's Go Devils podcast, Game Day Live last year, we talked a lot about beef. We like beef on this team. And one guy who provides plenty of beef is a very big part of this show. We talk about him probably just as much as we talked about the Stars last season, and that's Nathan Bastion. He's not slated to be in any of the power play units. I'm not sure if that will change as the night goes along, depending on how things go. If they want to give him a look, maybe when there's 30 seconds left and there's a clear, he might get an opportunity. But Nathan Bastion, he's a big body. Again, hard to move. He could go to the front of the net. He's mean. He'll defend his guys, and he knows how to go out there and be a very good fourth-line player. I'm excited to see what he can bring, having another full year of being a New Jersey Devils player. Listen, he did not do well with the Seattle Kraken. For whatever reason, it never clicked for him when they were there. So he gets put on waivers. The New Jersey Devils claim him. He all of a sudden comes back and looks like the Nathan Bastion that we know. And that's something that I'm excited about. We'll see if he's able to earn a permanent spot on the fourth line for this season, because it's a good problem to have, but the spots on this team are being taken up quick. Hischier, Hughes, Bratt, Sharangovich, Palat, Mercer. These guys are playing. That's half the lineup in terms of forwards right there. Bastion is really going to have to earn his spot and make himself visible out there, whether it be a big hit or a fight or sticking up for his teammates or scoring a goal, making a nice pass, doing something that makes the coaching staff believe that he should be in the lineup each and every day. It's not a guarantee. There are plenty of young prospects trying to make this team. We saw a kid like Graham Clark use a little bit of skill mixed with a little bit of luck, but a lot of resilience in order to score a goal yesterday. And we'll see what happens. On defense, we talked about Nemec making his preseason debut with the New Jersey Devils after being the second overall pick in the 2022 NHL draft. I'm not sure if Smith and Hickey are going to be fringe seventh defensemen all season long, or if they're actually going to get a fair amount of playing time. I do expect to see Luke Hughes at the end of the season, so we'll see how that impacts what their plans are once Michigan is done. They're going to be a very good college hockey team, but we won't see Hughes till that point. I do really like Siegenthaler with Hamilton because I think that gives Graves an opportunity to play with Severson as they did yesterday, and you could have a very good top pair. Marino probably plays with Smith on the bottom pair. There are a couple other options, of course, too, but Jonas Siegenthaler was awesome last year, and he probably would have been able to come back from injury had the Devils actually been in contention. They say the same thing about Jack Hughes with what happened last year, but I honestly think that Siegenthaler is just a very good defensive defenseman, and I can't put into words how excited I am for this team with the defense core that they have, and we're going to see it all tonight. So then what happens tonight if you go out and you play against this Islanders team and you look really good? Then you tamper expectations because of the fact that it is preseason. Everybody's working on things. Teams are trying to put emphasis on this or emphasis on that and trying to figure out what works for them. However, if you think about the fact that that group played really good in Montreal on the road yesterday, and they were less talented than this group that's playing against the New York Islanders tonight at home, you're probably going to be pretty excited about what might happen when you combine those two together. It probably will happen sooner than later. By the weekend, these guys might start all be playing together, and the lineups might start looking a little bit more like what they're going to look like in mid-October when the Devils take the ice for the first time against the Philadelphia Flyers. And it's very exciting to think about. Every year I go into the season, there were a couple times where I fooled myself and thought this was going to be the year. I'm going in with mixed expectations this year. There's a chance that this Devils team is actually really starting to show signs of life. Eisher's doing this, and Hughes is doing that. I really love Hamilton with Severson and Graves and Marino and all that. Oh, we got Luke Hughes coming, and so is Simone Nemec, and hey, this Alexander Holtz is really starting to bloom a little bit, and we love Dawson Mercer. That could be a team that finds its way into the playoffs. It happens all the time. There's also the chance that they're still working on some things, still developing a little bit, and they end up falling just short again. I'm trying to stay in between those two thoughts and possibilities of what's going to happen with the Devils this season. I do know for a fact that it is going to be a lot of fun, and we are going to have a very good season. And the Let's Go Devils podcast has a lot of, upcoming plans for how we're going to get through this season and what we're going to do to make it more fun for everybody. And the Game Day Live before each and every game with myself and Sam Wu. We have now each done a pregame show separately, kind of like the Devils. Sam was the Montreal game. Vinnie was the New Jersey game. We are going to combine forces soon enough. And in doing that, we have a lot of big fun planned for everybody. There are a couple upcoming appearances by the Let's Go Devils podcast coming early in the season. Of course, on October 13th at 6 p.m. Eastern at Chickies and Pete's, 1526 Packer Avenue in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, ahead of their game against the Philadelphia Flyers. Then 2 days later, on October 15th at 6 p.m., the Devils will be playing, and we will have our pregame show live from American Whiskey on 51 Edison Place in Newark, New Jersey. It is going to be so much fun. I'm so excited that we are able to be back here covering New Jersey Devils hockey, going through each player that we're excited about, each player we're concerned about, what it's going to look like once the regular season actually starts. And I hope everybody is as excited for this season as I am. I always have faith in this team going in. I'll always have faith in our guys, Jack Hughes, Nico Hischier, Jesper Bratt. They're going to put on a show this year. I highly recommend it for everybody, and I'm so excited for everybody going on with our show, the Let's Go Devils podcast. I hope everybody enjoys the game, Let's Go Devils against the New York Islanders. And as always, make sure you tune in to the post-game Devils After Dark immediately, half hour following the game. And as we always say on this program, let's go Devils.